Hi, good morning.
Think we're expecting about 50 or 60 people today, so we'll give them a chance to pile in.
Yeah, exactly. I made a page for the meeting. Let me get that
Hold on, thank you.
situated. There we go. Okay. I saw Sam had accepted, so he might be joining, but we can get going.
All right.
Welcome, everybody, to the November meeting of the Aries Marketing Working Group. I will leave this antitrust policy and fine print about the meeting today on the screen, as all Hyperledger meetings are held with. Feel free to add your name. I see Tim's here. Hey, Tim.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Oh, nice. Hey, Kyle and Sam. Welcome. How's it going?
So Kyle, I have an awkward question to ask you. What got you to come to this meeting?
It was a trap.
Duress.
Uh, uh,
Did you accidentally click on the wrong link? I'm teasing.
no. I subscribe to like all of the meetings in my calendar. I was like, Aries Marketing. Oh, Steven's been talking a lot about that. John's been talking a lot about that. I should go. Let me see, Alex is here too.
So it's been the four of us, Helen, Tim, me, and Alex forever. And we're
Okay.
constantly inviting people, and you're the first person to actually show up. So like, I'm super happy you're here. And I was just wondering what we could do to, help more people attend. That was why I asked you the awkward
Yeah.
question.
The only reason I knew about this at all was because I subscribed to all the Hyperledger meetings, and I was
Nice.
like, oh, hey, should go.
Sorry for the awkward question. Why
No,
are
that's
you
great.
here? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we don't want to mean girl Kyle. Why are you here?
I do have a conflict in like 12 minutes, so I'm gonna have to duck a little bit early. I apologize for that.
Oh yeah, no worries. Well, the thing that Alex and I were talking about to talk about this meeting was to create a space where we can start kind of better documenting some of the use cases of Aries. We're finding that more people are using Aries than are letting on. And it is widely used, but we haven't been able to sort of capture that anywhere. And so one of the things we're talking about is creating some kind of ongoing community generated lists, something where we could put, people can kind of divulge or list or whatever their uses of it. Alex, did you have any other more thoughts on this? I think you were going to talk to John about something along these lines.
I still have to catch up with John because we got a delay, but yes, I think we're doing work anyway to understand there's an activity coming out where we're going to be uncovering use cases anyway. I spoke to John about that separately to do with a submission we're doing for next month. So that's going to tack on the end of that. So yes, that's coming, I think, in the coming week.
Yeah, because what we have currently is we have these two links here, learning resources and developer resources. And these are really just to kind of newcomers to the community who want to learn more about about Aries can come and read and watch videos. And we've kind of put it out to the community as a place that, you can post things if you write a white paper or a blog or whatever, but there isn't really a spot to promote yourself, promote your products, promote your company, promote your features and things that you're doing. And that's where I think I just wanted to, I guess, throw it out to Sam, kind of how that would work in an open source environment, and having folks kind of divulge, non-paying, like members, paying members, because Hyperledger does have like a resource on hyperledger.org where you can use a vendor directory. And so you can list yourself, your company, like, I don't know who Spydra is or what they do. But anyway, so there's that, obviously not widely used. And so how can we do kind of emulate that for the Aries community in a way that would make sense to them and us and others who kind of come to Aries and want to know who's doing what?
So it strikes me, you mentioned that people are reluctant to stick their logo on a wall because lawyers or whatever, or marketing, right? And so this strikes me as a way that people can contribute sort of generic-ish use cases, and without having to stick like the company's logo on it, which may be easier for people to contribute. Is that where you're going with this?
Yeah, it's one step below like publicly widely known, ready to market. It's kind of more on the developer level of let's start talking about what we are doing, even if it's not in a production state. So how can we make people feel comfortable like announcing or talking about what they're doing, in a hold space for people in a safe space?
No, I think this general direction makes a ton of sense when we talked about, because Kyle, to add a bit of color in, we talked about whether there's a direct marketing effort that Aries could be doing to better promote its unique features in a variety of common use cases that the world's looking at right now. But there's a bit of a thankless task when we're basically up against a very strong commercially driven marketing operation from other people who have got different interests and would be almost pushing water uphill. How can we instead just reveal what's going on? How can we just say, here are the, like Helen said, here are the great things that are taking place right now, and just share them. So the organic process of revealing what Aries is being used for is out there, because we have the good marketing problem. We've got some great stuff going on, but no one necessarily knows about it.
One of the things that I see in the space is what Shar is running, and you, Tim, with the identity implementers. I think that helps quite a lot, because when I can, I try and make it to those to see what the heck somebody's done. And, with the group here, it's, usually Aries, but the use case is the more interesting thing. And then, we always say, hey, we're using Aries for this, and it's interoperable with this and this and this and this and this, right? The other, I know I'm coming into this very fresh, but the other thing that we from BC Gov are trying to figure out is how to say who we're interoperable with without promoting vendors. So we kind of default to say, we're compatible with any other Aries solution, or interoperable, compatible, whichever words we like.
Well, and that's the in our profile thing is nice, because you can sort of point to a profile and say we do this. And that's going to be increasingly important as the European Union stuff ends up in a pile of profiles, rather than like just saying I'm compatible with the EIDAS 2.0. You can't say that. You have to be more specific than that.
Yeah.
But it would be nice if we had a list where people could sort of self-promote that they are compatible with this sort of stuff. And then that way, if you said, hey, we're compatible with people that also do this stuff, you can kind of generically point to the list hosted by the community without like getting in trouble for promoting a specific vendor.
Yeah, and I didn't know about that vendor list on the Hyperledger website, because that would be almost an ideal place to kind of point people to.
Yeah, neither did I.
Hey, we're compatible with Hyperledger Aries. Go over there and look.
Yeah,
so
you
maybe,
can.
yeah. So do you have to be a member to add yourself to this?
I don't know. I mean, Evernem is no longer a member. I mean, I know they're updating this, and I've never heard of Spider Validation Cloud or Paramount Software. I don't know. I don't know many of these, so I'm assuming not. But I could research that and present it at the next Aries call, so folks know where to go. Because I kind of think it probably is for members. It's probably one of the member benefits. I should know this, but I don't off the top of my head. And so if
Yeah,
this,
Helen.
I know. So if this is just for members, then how can Aries create its own version of this? Would be one. But so the interop profiles, I think that's really interesting because like you were saying, well, people don't want to step on the toes of marketing if there's a new solution and a new application or system or something like that that's not kind of launched, but we still want to know about it. How can we have people self-promote that? And could they say, we are working on a implementation of Aries such and such. It is interoperable with a certain profile. Is that how we could help distinguish that type of information?
So we can. I think that there's a couple levels we want to do this. One is just promoting what Aries is and what it does. And then when you get into more of the specifics, I think the profiles start to matter more. Yeah. And so we need to be careful that we don't under promote Aries because we're over promoting the profiles that we're targeting. And so I think that it strikes me that there's two things that could be done pretty immediately. One is that on the wiki for Hyperledger Aries, we could have a section that we periodically promote for people to add themselves to. Hey, if you're using this and you'd like people to know, then add here. There's a variety of reasons you might want people to know. It might be that you're a vendor. It might be that you are a project using it and you want help. You're basically putting your thumbs up on the project so that people know that you like it and that you are an active user of it. And then there's also the use cases piece as well that I think is really valuable. And one of the Entidad with a farm workers solution would be a great one to kind of lead that because it's such a great story. And so I think that doing a spot, one of the things that we can do as the Aries people is help market the people that are using Aries. So we can talk about what they're working on and the different solutions and everything else and kind of shine some light everywhere else. And in the process, it's going to shine light on Aries as a success, right? Exactly. It's a twofer because of how we approach that.
I think you put your finger on something important there, Sam, which is no matter what we choose to say or how unobtrusive it might be for people to want to say it, I think we have to approach them proactively somehow, or make it so incredibly easy for them to add something that gets used. Because first thing we're asking at developer level to do something extra on top, which is not necessarily on their critical path of thinking day to day. And also, we need to get something going. Like, how easy can we make it for people to say, hey, yes, we use Aries this way or whatever? How do we make that frictionless? Do we have to be proactive and reach out to them? Or is there something that we could do
I think there's both.
Meeting or yeah.
I think we can add some highlights to stuff that happen. Hey, we have a new entry for whatever here, and grateful for that. And we can kind of draw attention to the fact that that exists. The other thing to do is look at who comes to the meetings, not just the main Aries call, but all of the Akapai and Bifold and whatever else, right? As long as it's an Aries project, look at who comes to those and know who they're affiliated with and know if we've actually have something from them yet. Oh, they're BC Gov. Oh, they're Ottawa. They're or here's ID Union or whatever. That's the cutest Akapug logo ever, by the way. I don't know who's responsible for that, but but if you either attend the meetings or look at who adds themselves as attendees, and less people add themselves as attendees than are actually there. So Affiniquest, for example, Warren's a regular attendee to meetings, but to be honest, I don't know exactly what he does. And so reaching out and saying, hey, we would love to promote people that are actively involved in Aries. Can we help you with that? Is there something that we can do there? Would be a way to proactively reach out after people. Does that make sense? So I think both highlighting the fact that people can add themselves, but also just kind of browsing around and be like, I don't know that guy. He's new here, or he's been around for a long time. I don't know what he does. And I think that kind of gently chasing those folks is another really way to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned the quote thing too, and you brought it up in the context of DidCom marketing, but the same technique could be used over here with Aries, meaning you get quotes from developers about why they use Aries,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have to be an official statement by the company
Yeah.
in order to kind of include it. And that's another thing that I thought of in this, is that you could talk about the code or the community or the whatever, and like why they're involved in it. I think is a big answer there. Like, we're involved in Aries because it accelerates our deployment of verifiable credential and identity related technologies. Like, and you're going to get varieties of those things as people
Or
are willing
even
to contribute stuff.
even the fact they're considering it, for example, even if they're doing like a proof of concept, even if whatever, the fact that they're talking about it, if we can get them to say anything without having to commit them, without having to like make marketing teams concerned, it helps. It shows traction.
Yes. And that kind of thing, you could use a similar thing where you could kind of self-advertise that you're looking for these things,
Mm-hmm.
but also kind of gently, proactively chase people. Like, hey, you've been around a lot of the Aries calls, like, curious what you're doing, and whether we can, interest you in contributing a quote to the whatever wall or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and with that, I got to escape.
Okay. Thank you.
Incidentally, go talk about indie with someone, but all the hats. But yeah, I love the idea. So Kyle, it's all you now that I'm ducking out. I just have to warn you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm teasing. See you guys. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you. Yeah, so I don't mind going through these meetings and kind of finding folks that have presented themselves as being involved or attending the meetings.
Even
And
if
then-
you found, say, 5 people, and let's say 3 of them gave us like a developer one, that's 3 quotes.
Mhm.
That's something that would actually could be used to sort of to bolster this. I think that's a great start.
Yeah, I mean, I think putting a table together and filling out with BC Gov and NDCO and ID Union and whatever, like some of the kind of usual suspects, I think it's fine. I think that's a great way to start. And then going through and then, yeah, kind of approaching folks. I like the term gently chasing, and getting them to add as well. And then have those examples already there that say like John Jordan, we really, Stephen Curran, Sam, Karen, whatever. And having like Nancy and other folks from all over the place who are like, this is why we do it. And in succinct 2 to 3 sentences, nothing too, nothing too hard to put together. And then we would put it right on wherever I put the wiki page. Here, let's go back here.
The wiki landing page.
And then we could put, some of that information right here, somewhere, make a section probably at the top somewhere. And then, another kind of table, like you click on it and a table opens up and then you see all the different companies that are part of it, that are divulging their usage of Aries in one place. I think that'd be really helpful. We could also do then a campaign around it, to do a blog for Hyperledger that kind of spells out some of the momentum or traction of Aries, etc. So yeah, I like this project.
What kind of conversations have you had around targeting enterprise architects or technical architects? Anything in that realm?
So haven't done a ton of outreach lately. I do know that in the past, when kind of developers would pop up saying, oh, I'm trying out this particular code, or I found this bug or whatever. And then if I, as a marketer, go to them, like, what are you working on? If it's not something that has been deemed or sanctioned by, run through their brand department, run through their product teams, etc., it's really challenging to get something sort of on the record about what they're doing. And that's why it's like we want to keep this as low profile, except as high profile, as low profile as we can get, like have that nice balance. But is that what you mean, is in terms of approaching them, or what do you mean?
No, I mean like so not people that know about Aries, right? They know nothing about it, and they're working on upgrading their system to do 2FA or something, or MFA, right? And getting in front of them to say, hey, do you know about this thing called DIDs and Aries and credentials, right? You know, don't have to, you know, keep chasing down, you know, one more factor of authentication. Kind of, you know, playing that game, right? You know, and just kind of rethink how your enterprise has been architected. And I'm thinking like kind of the larger organizations that have that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like to, you know, go after, you know, OpenID or anything like that. It's just, you know, that might be part of the solution as well. But, you know, and I'm just using that as one example, like the authentication side of things.
Mhm.
There's lots of others. You know, lots of people are doing this whole, you know, emailing PDFs back and forth, right? That's their equivalent, right? Hey, there's a better way, and I'm pretty sure you've not heard of it. This is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I know that's a wider digital trust kind of marketing, but having Aries to be able to describe it, I think is, yeah.
So are you saying maybe put a campaign together, or, you know, figuring something out where we can start entering the conversation for organizations who are doing some market research or choosing between vendors or choosing between pursuing technologies that are these types of technologies and capabilities are made possible by Aries in a obviously better, more privacy preserving, et cetera, type way.
Yeah. And part of it is, John and I have talked about this quite a bit, but the whole, like, everybody's like a moth to the flame, where everybody's chasing down a driver's license in a mobile wallet. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much more than a driver's license in a mobile wallet.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, being able to get in front of that, I think is helpful.
Let me just.
I just have these visions of technical architects being, oh, have you heard of digital trust? Oh yeah, that's the driver's license thing in your wallet. Oh.
Yeah, and they're like, we don't do driver's licenses. We're a oil company that is doing something totally different, or we're a whatever company. Yeah. Oh, did we lose somebody? Okay. So how to outreach to orgs. So this is like it's like a newcomer approach. So one of the things we have been talking about is how to position Aries in global standards conversations. So it's not quite that what we're talking about, but what Aries is. So this is more kind of talking about other things. But I know we were talking about that newcomer outreach. We were talking about doing some like explainer videos and blogs and things like that to help outline and illustrate all of those things that you're saying, all of the capabilities, the other technologies that exist, that Aries can assist with in a much, more lightweight, privacy preserving way. So I wonder if we could start with, I don't know, a document or a collaboration type document that lists some of those capability or other like adjacent technologies that Aries could kind of, assist with. And then start putting together either some kind of content. I mean, we were talking about even just like a white paper. Is that still on here? Yeah, we were talking about a white paper, an Aries overview and a lay of the land in terms of projects and use cases, but I almost wonder if we should also add adjacent technologies, architectures that are benefited. Wow, I can't talk and type at the same thing. Architectures that are benefited from Aries. So include, like, that would be a whole section, is how to kind of break down all the things that Aries can do as well.
In a business context, we're starting to see some this is the old way of doing it, and this is the new, better way of doing it. So it's you're replacing a thing,
Mm-hmm.
not just having another option necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So the classic that we use in our business to business or government to business use cases is you used to email a PDF to your business, counterpart in that organization over there to prove something. You don't have to do that anymore. You can create a trusted connection with each other, send and receive messages and documents and whatever, just in that trusted, kind of, it's like having, let me back up. We use all of these personal messaging solutions for business conversations now, right? We use Signal, we use, even though it wasn't really built for business, it was, that kind of idea. And it's still a better way than Signal, right? But we can do that in a trusted business context, right? To do that kind of, those types of transactions back and forth.
Once I'm sorry, my kid's school is calling. I will be right back.
Yeah. I'll keep talking anyways, Tim. The other thing is emails. The user pattern for emails is you have to look at every single email that comes in your inbox to see if you trust it or not. You don't have like a trusted connection. Like, let's say Tim and I, we email back and forth all the time. Every single email that Tim sends me, I have to check if it's actually Tim sending me an email or not, or if it's spam or somebody phishing or, those kinds of things. However, if I had a trusted channel with Tim and I could just easily trust every single message and it just goes, right? We could send documents, we could send all kinds of things back and forth. And that kind of argument in a business context, really, people can see the value. I know that's still like general digital trust stuff, but Aries is the solution that can make that happen.
Yeah.
I think it's one that everyone can relate to, though. So being relatable could definitely be a better hook than, the abstract trust everything all the time. Well, what does that actually mean? That means, your IT team doesn't panic when you get an email.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so again, it kind of flips it away from the driver's license and a mobile wallet. Hey, there's more to this than that. There's also that, but I don't know if you caught anything of what I said, Helen, but
not quite. If do you want to give a synopsis
sure.
just for the notes? Yeah.
The synopsis was back to my sort of the old way versus the new way thing, but email, right? So my example was, let's say Tim and I, we email back and forth all the time. Every email that Tim sends me, I have to check to see if it's actually Tim. Okay, which is really annoying. Right? And somebody could easily like sneak in there and change the sender to say Tim, and then I'm caught. Whereas if Tim and I have a trusted connection with each other, we can communicate messages, we can send documents, we can send credentials, all those kinds of things. And I'm just saying that as a basic example for how we can, get people to understand what this digital trust stuff is compared to what they do today. Not like it's this crazy brand new, well, it is a crazy brand new thing, but relate it to something they know. And it's not just a driver's license and a mobile wallet.
Yeah. And I think driving down into the efficiencies gained. Reduction of fraud, all the things. And then like the new, like when we always talk about, the use case in Aruba, it's a new way of doing, it's taking an old process and just making it, newer, better, more optimized, what did we say? I don't know, anyways, there's more to say about it, but yeah, I think that there's these sort of common threads that we could pull through, and say, section in a white paper, more towards this like business audience. I like the idea of expanding it beyond just like a mobile driver's license and a wallet, because I think that's really kind of reductive of the technology when we're talking about an entire way of interaction, online, that is, enhanced based on this technology. So I definitely think that we're starting to spell out what this, either maybe a short, like a business type report or something like that could be. It doesn't have to be like a long white paper. But this is, I think, an important thread to pull on for a newcomer to the community. I like also defining, going after architects specifically, and folks that are kind of out there looking for solutions or looking for tools to fix their problems. The more kind of specific we can get with the audience, I think it will really help drive a better outcome for this type of collateral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes when we talk about digital trust, it's just, we can say, oh, it's going to solve every use case under the sun, right? and we can't target something kind of specific. And I think it's better to target something specific.
Yeah.
Depending on the audience.
Well, it's not, I mean, Aries is not something that, some small, like mom and pop shop could kind of pick up. I always appreciate Sam's examples of the taco truck. If anybody's been in meetings with Sam to talk about the taco truck, which sounds like an incredible taco truck. Someday we're going to go to this taco truck and it's going to have exactly the type of taco we want, exactly ready for us when we want it. And it's going to be awesome. But until then, it's, how are we creating, kind of a playing board for vendors and developers and architects and people to, pick it up and say, there's a real business value here. Like, I mean, I keep thinking back to, like, I don't know, before the cloud was the cloud, right? Like before, when everybody had on-prem and the cloud didn't exist, and like the end user didn't know what the cloud is. Like there's a movie, a rom-com with who was in it? Jason Segel and somebody else. And they're like, what's the cloud? I don't know. Nobody knows what the cloud is. I feel like that's where we're at right now. It's like, we're before the kind of end user adoption. Like my mom isn't downloading things. She kind of understands what the cloud is now, because she can put her pictures on a phone and like not have to worry about if she loses her phone. And that's how she understands it, even though it's so much more complex than that. And so how can we, at this point in time in the development and adoption of digital trust, explain what it is in a way that promotes adoption by the big vendors who are building the products and applications for the end users. We need them to sign off. We need them to see the brilliance of this architecture, much more than, again, there's nothing for my mom at Aries right now.
No.
And so doing a report, doing collateral, doing, more kind of promotion around the usage of, kind of the thinking about this, this technology, I think is really helpful. The more we can put out, the better. I like that. So why don't we, another action item. So I don't want to put too much between now and our next call, but I do think starting to outline some sort of executive summary document is what I'll call it. Where we start going into kind of use cases, explaining digital trust, and some use cases or examples of it, I think would be a great thing to start. Again, doesn't have to be super long, but I do think that having that core kind of collateral available for that audience, written for that, for the architect, dev, decision maker type audience would be good. And maybe it's not even so much the devs, it's written in a business, written for a business audience who's kind of making those architect type decisions, something like that.
Yeah.
So we could start on that together. Alex, I could throw that
Yeah.
in Discord.
Thank you.
But yeah,
One
I think
other-
those are two real
yeah.
strong action items. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
One other thing, when Sam was talking earlier, there's sort of this multi-layer thing, where how you talk about it. So there's digital trust, then there's like Aries, and then there's sort of like, what does the technology allow you to do? Then there's something about, here is the vendors that can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a layer that is vendor specific, or the value add, that each vendor brings to Aries.
Mm-hmm.
So like, hey, this vendor over here has focused on a specific use case. Let's say they use Aries, which is great, right? They've focused on a specific use case. So they've customized their vendor offering to work really well for whatever. Or this vendor over here, they've, done something different, right? I don't know why I'm saying that. I just wanted to get that out of my mouth, because we are also talking a lot in BC Gov about the value of the use cases. So the metrics and best, statistics and things like that. But I also wanted to say something about the vendor's value add.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Because yeah, it's almost like this funnel where at the top is like, what, kind of this digital trust. What is it? Very, I know we talk it in very academic, academia type ways of what it, the philosophy of digital trust and SSI and all the things that, so many people have written beautifully about, over the years, which is great. And then we get into Aries, and we start talking about, okay, this is what ACAPAC, this is what JSON file does with the thing and whatever, and that's great, and the interop profiles and all that. But then we get down to the vendor, and that's where I think more light needs to be shown on is, who are the vendors and what are they doing? And what threads have they pulled? What real example have they created to reach out to the education community? And now they're really, this such and such is doing big things in Europe with the, universities doing blah, 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 whatever. And I think that that's what's really going to make it sticky for people and really, be able to make it real. And so that's why I think, definitely going through this, this kind of section, who in the market is using Aries, I think is going to be really helpful. And I think I'm imagining kind of like a table where people can just kind of list like, oh, I'm, John Smith, I'm a, I'm an architect, here's my role at this company, this is the company I'm associated with even, and, very lightweight, because it's not promoting the company to like, again, step on toes of brand teams and product teams and things like that. But this is who I am, and this is what I do. This is what attracted me to Aries, and this is what I am implementing, or I'm excited to implement, or I'm working on implementing, or something that's like very lightweight. We're not holding anybody, we're not trying to break any news. We're not the New York Times. We're not trying to like, go public with, new products that are in the, coming from Oracle, whatever, coming from some big enterprise or something. Like, we're not trying to do that. We're just trying to create the story of who is doing what with this and kind of the direction they're going with on it. And then if they do want to say, yes, we do have our, like, Indicio has Indicio proven, it uses Aries, blah, 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 all these, like, we can, that would be also something that somebody could promote, is their own products from their own company. And that's great. God bless. That's great. But we don't want to exclusively have this for that. We want to, hold that space for developers who are still just kind of playing with it and working and are active and interested in that kind of thing, without stepping on toes.
Do you think that could be a quick form we make? Maybe like get featured on the Aries website or whatever. And it's like just 3 quick fields, like who you are, what you're doing, what you want to link back to potentially.
Yeah, I think, like a form would be a talk about, make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And I think people like the project presentations or use case presentations, like in the identity implementers or something, right? People really, gravitate to those.
Yeah, I think that could definitely be added to our just kind of normal workflow. Is after their session is done, we could absolutely send them this form or be like, hey, we'd love to link back to your session. You know, give us a quick blurb about it, you know, general summary, and then we can post that as well.
And I'm sure there's folks that attend the Identity Implementers Working Group that don't attend Aries, you know, that's the one they go to because they're most interested in use cases and things like that. So the more Tim and Shar can, right, you and Shar are the co-chairs right now?
Me, Shar, and Vipin.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So the more we can share that Google form link out to folks, the better. So, you know, we'll post it in just all over the Aries Akapai and Indie Discord channels, as well as the Identity Implementers Working Group. And then we could even put together, I don't know, we could put together some sort of blog for the Hyperledger, for the Hyperledger blog that they can promote more publicly as well, and say anybody who's, you know, working on Hyperledger projects, let us know. We invite those who are working on Aries projects to reveal themselves. So yeah, I think those are excellent action items. I don't know, Alex, do you have any other kind of thoughts or?
No, that feels like tons, because it's just moving this forward is really valuable. Let's speak some more about that exec summary. Let's start getting some people to say something. Any kind of conversation is going to advance what we got. Because right now there's nothing. And you go to these pages, there's no sense of who's working on this, really.
Yeah.
And that's, we just need to start changing that with what we're currently doing. Even before we start even proactively trying to broaden this message, let's get out what people are actually doing right now. That is that. And some of these things are not new things. If we collate a few people talking about this already, things that we know, where they've already mentioned they're using Aries, even having that in one place as a few mentions or links out, that's a start as well. So all these little efforts, I think any step is a good step.
Yeah, for sure. I think the other thing I was just thinking of when you were talking is, I mean, we could allow them to we don't divulge their company name or their name, but we say like, you know, a whatever enterprise architect from a global Fortune 5 whatever company is doing this, and then have their quote, we like list their quote. You see that oftentimes in like industry, like research articles, like from Forrester, Gartner, or IDC or whatever, is they don't say who they talked to, who they interviewed, but they still have excellent quotes of like, we chose this technology or this vendor because of these reasons, and it's shown us great, you know, we see great promise in X, Y, and Z or something like that. And then we don't you know, we just sort of describe who they are. So you know, we don't need to be dogmatic in our approach. Yeah, anywhere. If people want to, you know, kind of, you know, give a quote, but still, you know, maintain their company privacy for legal reasons, then I'll still take them, you know. So we'll,
some of these larger players, the devs will have been trained. You don't say anything public without it going through so-and-so team. You just can't do it. So if we come across those, this is the perfect anonymous way to get something.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's after spelling Anonymy Lab so often, now I'm like, I spell anonymous. I'm like, I don't know how to spell it.
The other thought that I had was we could also organize an interop hackathon. Maybe you've done this in the past. I think I've seen this happen, but that's also something fun to kind of get people in to see what's possible.
Yeah, so I don't know, Alex, if you were there, but for when Indicio was at Linux Foundation Public Health, we did a couple of interoperability, what did we call them? Interopathons, where basically we would have people show up, we'd parse them out into like couples, and then we would have one be the issuer and one be the holder and one be the verifier, you know, whatever they have, like show up with whatever you have. If you just have an issuer, if you just have a wallet, great, we'll test those. And then we'd put them into pairs, and then they would test against each other. And it was pretty cool. We had to do some arm twisting to kind of get people to show up, and it kind of gave people like a sprint goal, like they have to have their tech done by this date. So I think that was sort of helpful for some teams. But doing an Aries wide one would be really interesting to have people show up, because I'm sure they want to test their interoperability. I mean, we have the interop profiles, which it sounds like, I don't know, there's some baggage around, saying, do you, which interop profiles do you abide by or whatever. So it would be a little more, kind of gritty, getting people to roll up their sleeves and interop against one another, but I would be down.
Because this whole thing is only going to work if we can talk with each other over Aries, right? It's never going to work if it's one single vendor that just has a centralized system and everybody uses it. It's only going to work if we can actually like prove out that we can talk to each other, exchange credentials, send documents, message, I don't care. All those things.
Yeah.
All the interop profile things, yeah.
Can you explain the interop profiles? There's different profiles, and what are the difference between the profiles at a high level?
Oh boy. So there are a number of RFCs that Aries are in the Aries bucket, and they are specifications for doing different protocols or, interchanges between two wallets, let's say. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of them. Aries Interop Profile 1 is a set of those things to make things easier to like kind of combine them. So you can say that your wallet is, let's say, AIP 1.0 compatible, which means that they have implemented a certain set of those protocols, right? So that, we can do basic messaging, and we can do offering credentials, accepting credentials, presentation requests, and presentation proposals, let's say. And you can do that set of things. Aries AIP 2.0 is that AIP 1 plus more things. Okay, so it's just sort of as things mature, you can do these things now. You can send emojis in messaging now. It's advanced messaging, not basic messaging. You can still do basic messaging as AIP 2. So if you need to like fall back because this wallet is AIP 1 and this one's AIP 2, there's like some kind of fallback. It gets pretty complicated for that kind of thing. But that's in general what people talk about. I think where there's the baggage is people might have different opinions on what it means to implement a protocol, whether they have implemented it fully, partially, 90% of the way, 95% of the way, those kinds of things.
So if I was a company that has implemented what, A, B, C, and D, but not E, F, or G, and then I'm bummed out because I don't actually meet the interop profile, but I can do most of it.
Correct. Yes.
So
and everybody's got different like sort of sets or subsets of AIP 1, right? It's like, and you can even get into the place where, like with Traction for the Akapai implementation we've got for BC Gov, it's like, well, it can do all of it that Akapai can do, but there isn't a user interface for all of it. It's like, oh, okay, well, is it fully implemented though? Well, does the person know how to run Postman and do an endpoint call? I don't know.
So if we were to do an interopathon, and could we sort of group people into like buckets of interop profiles, or should we just do away with interop profiles altogether and just say, hey, we're going to do exchange message, we're going to do connection, exchange message, and whatever, like we could make up our own? Would that would make people grumpy?
I don't know. It might be an activity to flesh out, what these AIPs are or aren't. That'd be a good question. Maybe just ask Sam. Say what do you think of this? But I would love to send a couple developers from BC Gov with the BC wallet and with Traction and see what works and see what doesn't work. With at least with the Indicio products, right?
Well, and I mean, see what works and see what doesn't work. I mean, that's the thing, is it's going to be more, I don't know, not loose, but it's going to be, we're going to have greater flexibility in being able to connect people. So we should really lower those barriers of entry. If somebody is tooling around with Aries somewhere in their basement, they should show up and they should try it and see what works. Because I think, that would be that, sort of unmasking of the community and starting to get, people used to using their voices and, voicing their support for this technology. So I really like this idea of putting an Interopathon in Q1, maybe of 2024 on the calendar. Maybe I'll, bring this idea up on the next
and so it serves multiple purposes. It is, in its essence, marketing, right?
Oh yeah, because I did all the planning for it when we did it at Cardia. It was
but developers love it because they can find a bug. They're like, oh, we didn't have an ACK on that. It worked with our own products. But
they love the bugs. They love it when stuff doesn't work. It is hilarious. I'm like, oh, so you got to do this and this, and let's like write it up in a nice little script and the outcome. And they're like, no, we found the great bug. There's no script to write. We're all up into our eyeballs. It's great. And it's like, oh my gosh, okay, that's good too. They like breaking things. It's their favorite. So yeah, let me bring that up on the next working group call and seeing, taking the temperature of Sam and others to see if that's something that they'd be interested in.
Yeah.
Cool. Kyle, you should come to all the marketing meetings.
Just the fresh eyes, fresh ideas.
Exactly. I think I get stuck into the we need content, we need all the content, we need to write. And I think there's just so many other ways that we could be pulling people into the conversation and getting more kind of attention paid to the technology. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and marketing is, again, one of the reasons I saw this on my calendar and wanted to come was we're on the energy and mines stuff, looking at how to expand our ecosystem, which is essentially a marketing exercise for getting more credentials, more holders, more verification use cases, those kinds of things, right? And it's going to grow this way. We don't know which way it's going to grow, but we can at least tell people what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe we should probably get you on the phone with James Schulte on our team who does our business development. I know he's been working on a few different conversations with different airlines in different countries and things that are very interested in, that government overlap between, connecting the public and private sector with verifiable credentials. So let me, I'll make an email introduction and maybe you guys can link up and just kind of share notes.
I think we've chatted before, but if you can set something up for us, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, for sure. And I see Nancy's she's speaking everywhere. She is a busy lady.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we got our first mines permit issued in production last week.
Oh, right on. Congratulations.
Yeah. So it went from there was a line of business system in our mining department, and it's integrated with Traction, which is Akapai, issued in a non-creds mines permit credential over to Northern Block's solution. So Hud Bay Minerals has a Northern Block wallet that they're receiving that in. So
right on. Congratulations. That's exciting.
It's a lot of moving parts to that.
So now we need them to go to a bank or something, or go go to a private entity and then say we have this thing, and on with a totally different system, and then have that connection made.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll definitely talk about those items offline, but very
Cool.
exciting. Well, cool. Well, we have a list of action items. I will chat with Alex and Tim offline about getting some of those actioned, and I will cancel December's meeting because it's the week after. It's the day after Christmas.
Boxing Day,
Yep.
Oh yeah, Boxing Day. Right. Sorry. Yes, we want to observe Boxing Day. So I'll cancel the December one. So if not, if I don't see you, we'll see you in the new year.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Talk soon.
Cool. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.